Hello and welcome to Joy This Moment. I'm your host and coach, Mevy here to open hearts and transform minds so you can live your best life as your most joyous and successful self. So let's dive into this episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Joy This Moment with your host and coach, yours truly, Mevy. I bring you this episode from home. I am back in the UK and my goodness, part of me feels like, why did I come back? But of course it is good to be home. The reason I feel the whole why did I come back thing is because I was enjoying lots and lots of vitamin D and sunshine in the lovely and sunny United Arab Emirates for 5 weeks, and I have gone from experiencing a lovely 38 degrees Celsius, nice and warm, to, what is it today? 10 degrees Celsius in Norwich. I've just been plunged into cold. So my entire body is like, oh my gosh, it's freezing. So it's taking some time to adjust. I've been back home for a week and just resting up and figuring out new routines, because for 5 weeks my home routine has been a little bit off. So it's just getting back to the swing of things and also just reviewing and reflecting. And it's interesting because October has been that time for me where I've always naturally been reviewing and reflecting stuff, and I don't know if it coincides with the season, or maybe it does, because now we are in autumn fall, and the leaves have changed color, and season wise things feel like they're in a renewal phase. And I don't know about you, but my mood is heavily affected by the weather and the seasons. So the fact that I feel like this month is great for shedding old beliefs, shedding old identities, finding new paths, renewing things, reviewing old habits, trying to make new habits, and just feels that good time for renewal. It's also a good time for remembrance, because 4 years ago, my grandfather, who I was really, really close to, passed away. In fact, this week is the anniversary of his death. He passed away on the 27th of October 2016, and I literally felt like my whole world crashed, because he was my mentor, my rock, my support, my spiritual guide. He was someone who I looked up to so much. So even though he's not physically here, his teachings live on. He was a man of peace and humility and love, and he taught me so much of the wisdom that I have in me now. Like, it's literally come through him. So every day I miss him, but in October I feel that extra ache in my heart. So it's quite apt that this episode is all about healing and how to heal from grief, from heartbreaks, from, if your relationship has broken down, you've lost your job, or all of those life events, that there's grief involved. Grief doesn't just come from someone you love passing away. It also comes from you having any change in your life. You're grieving, the job that you had. If you love the job that you had and you've now lost that job, so you're grieving that job, you're grieving the future you could have had with that job. So there's grief is universal in that sense. But despite whatever kind of grief that you're feeling, I really wanted to make this episode on healing and giving you a little bit of direction on how to go about starting the healing process, or how to get back onto the healing ladder. Because healing is a commitment. It's a commitment to yourself, and it's the absolute highest form of self-care possible. Self-care isn't just fancy spa days and, just chilling out here and there. Of course, like there is an element of that. Go to the spa, it is great. But in terms of your emotional, spiritual, mental, and even physical, like self-care, taking time out to heal from anything that broke your heart is very, very important. It's important for yourself because you want to make sure that you don't go around projecting your insecurities onto other people. You want to make sure that you are fully present when you're about to start the next chapter of your life, your next relationship, or the next new job, or the next new thing that you engage with. You want to try and be fully present as possible and prevent the past from sort of repeating in that sense. So that's why it's more to heal. The thing to note with healing is it's not a linear process. You start off with processing a few events. In fact, what's involved in healing is taking the time to unpack what's happened, taking time to learn and reflect, taking time to figure out how you want to move forwards. That does involve setting new habits and new routines. So all of that work takes time, but you also have to recognize that it's not a linear process. There'll be days where you want to focus on healing work because it is a necessity, and then you start feeling a little bit better, and then what often happens is you start feeling better and you think, oh, I've done the healing work, I'm good, I don't need to focus on fixing things inside me, I don't need to focus on analyzing what went wrong in that relationship on my part, or what I can learn from the experience of grief and what this whole process is trying to teach me. So you end up pausing on that and thinking that, okay, life is going good, and then it suddenly hits you again. So it's important to recognize that it's not a linear process. There's ups and downs. It's totally normal. It's totally normal to fall off the bandwagon. And when you accept that, you also know that there is a way to get back on. So the important thing is to keep going and to not quit, because you are trying to develop that 2.0 or 3.0 version of yourself, which your future self will totally thank you for. Snaps to future you. Guys, if you can hear anything in the background, that is my heater. I'm married to my heater. I am not leaving this because I am freezing so much. I guess it will take me a little bit longer than I thought to readjust back to the UK cold. So for now, I am glued to my radiator and there is nothing anyone can do about it. Okay, so now I would like you to grab a pen and paper and feel free to pause this podcast. As you're listening to it, pause it, grab your pen and paper, and then come back and carry on. Because I'm going to give you a list of steps that you can take to begin and continue your healing process. Again, these are in no particular order because I said healing isn't a linear process. So it really depends where you are on the stage, but I would love for you to make notes. So grab a pen and paper, come back, and I will see you in a tick. Okay, that was your tick. So the first thing to do in the healing process is let it flow. Your brain is in a state of frazzle. When my grandfather passed away, literally I feel as if my brain stopped working, and it sort of, or it was working, but it was in the sort of autopilot moment. It was just on autopilot, and brain fog and confusion and just the whole feeling of loss. Now, of course, there's been that physical feeling of loss, but there's also like that mental feeling of loss. It's like your brain can't process what is happening. So recognize that you aren't functioning okay, and that it's okay to not be okay. And then you're going to experience all kinds of different emotions, because whether it's grief, or it's a breakup, or job loss, changing circumstances, there are emotions that are flowing. There's anger, there's sadness, there's frustration. There might be moments of joy, there might be moments of laughter. Whatever the emotional state that's appearing in your mind, flow with it, not against it. What you don't want to do is go down the path of emotional suppression. And I've definitely done that before and regretted it, because when so this is my maternal grandfather that I was really, really close to, because he lived in Norwich. When my paternal grandfather passed away, I just suppressed all of the emotions. And I remember crying in my bed and saying, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel, I don't want to feel. And I said that repeatedly over and over again, and I kind of brainwashed my own brain into making an enemy out of feelings. That's terrible. I mean, it's understandable, because the pain is so much that you don't want to feel it. I get that. But even though our mind, we can try and suppress that pain in our mind, our physical body remembers our pain. So that pain shows up later. That pain can show up as illnesses. That pain can show up as stored anxiety. So I've noticed how some of my anxiety has manifested itself physically in particular muscles in my body, just my thigh muscles and my upper back muscles. And those were areas where I did not feel anxiety before my paternal grandfather's death. So it's interesting when you look into this kind of yoga science and the science of pain itself. So that's why it's really important to let the emotions flow and let them come and go, because emotions are meant to be flowing. And here's the thing, nothing is permanent, okay? The pain, it's a lot, and you can feel endless, but emotions are meant to be moving. So if you try and suppress a particular pain that wants to be active, like you're trying to suppress a particular emotion that is trying to be active in that moment, then you are just delaying the healing process. So it's better to actually experience the pain than suppress the pain, okay? And that takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of strength, but through that process you're actually building extra courage and strength, and you do come out stronger for it. So let the emotions flow as they need to. The second thing to do is to accept and recognize that this is your new normal. This person is not in your life anymore, and it's such a hard thing to accept that. And you have to come to terms with it and make it your new normal. Because here's the thing, the people that we love are a part of our life. They are not our entire life. They are not our entire world. It's like we have our life, we have our world, and people come and go. And the people that are closest to us and the people that we love the most, they leave the greatest mark on our lives. So of course, when they're not around, it hurts so much more. But the way I processed the lack of my grandfather's presence in my life is telling myself that he was there to teach me, and he taught me well, and he left because his purpose of teaching me was over. And from that point of view, it just feels so much more empowering when you're trying to look at loss in that way. It doesn't so much seem as a loss. It seems more like, well, everyone in our life, when we look at them, in fact, everyone around us is a teacher of some sorts. Everyone teaches us about life and their experiences, and there's something to learn from everyone, right? So when you start looking at people as teachers in your life, at some point when they leave, then you can try and focus on what is it that they taught you, what is it that you learned from them, and try and apply that to your life. And when you apply their teachings to your lifestyle, then a part of them kind of lives on through you. And I know this is a very deep and philosophical and spiritual way of looking at it, but I felt this was a very empowering way for me, and this really helped me to process things a bit quickly, so I thought I'd just share that with you. Okay, the third thing is reflection, and it nicely leads on from the previous point, because you can just reflect your experience and your interactions with that person and see what you learned about yourself through that interaction, and what sorts of teachings you want to take on moving forward. So I think I nicely covered that in the second one. So I'm just going to move on to point number 4, which is respect what you need as you're going through the healing cycle. There will be times when your work needs you, your family needs you, other people need you. So give other people the time they need, but also take time out for yourself. So, of course, respect your commitments, honor your commitments, and distraction is great. It is actually good to be distracted for that time as you're trying to heal from grief, breakups, traumatic experiences, whatever you're trying to heal from. It's good to be distracted. However, don't use the distraction as a way to emotionally suppress yourself. So what you want to do is focus on your commitments, but also commit to the healing. So take time out of your day to, sit with your journal, or to meditate, or, to do what you have to do to process emotions. And if you require some help, which is my point number 5, take that help. One thing that really, really helped me was joining grief support groups and talking to other people that were going through similar things who weren't part of my family. Now, of course, as in family, there's that sense of shared grief, but talking to other people my age who were going through similar things was really, really helpful. So ask for that help. Often in this process of healing, we often don't know what we need. Sometimes we just need a quiet space to be. Sometimes we just want to sit there and listen. Sometimes we want to talk. Sometimes don't. It's a very confusing time, but join that support group anyway, because you don't know at what moment you might want to talk about it. And if you're already part of a group, then you're one step ahead in a way. You don't have to go search for the support. It's already there as and when you need it. So totally ask for help. And finally, step number 5, upgrade yourself. Think about version 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 versions of you. However many times we are knocked down by life, and we still have to get back up and get moving, and think about your future self. What are they doing? What are their goals? How are they living their life? And use that future vision to propel yourself through your pain and to motivate yourself. And if you feel like the future version of you is not someone you want to be, is not somewhere where you want to be, you can change that. You can, at any given moment, you can choose a different life path. It is all down to you, and everything is possible as long as you put your mind to it. That is literally my life motto: mind over matter. So to summarize, the 5 steps in no particular order, because as I said, healing is not a linear process, and anytime you fall off the bandwagon on these steps, you can get back to it. Okay, this is totally okay. So I have to keep saying that because often we can put a timeline on things and then we don't give ourselves that permission to heal, or we tell ourselves, okay, no, I've taken 1 month off and I should be fine now. No, it doesn't work like that. So it's totally okay. Right, so to repeat the 5 steps, firstly, let it flow, because your brain is in a state of frazzle. So let the emotions flow and don't suppress it. Accept and recognize that this person not being in your life is a new normal, and again, it will take time for this new normal to set in. Use the time to then reflect upon the whole experience and try to extract the learnings and teachings of that person who was in your life. What did you learn from them? What did you learn about yourself when you were with them? And use those teachings to then upgrade yourself and set a new and better vision for your life. And then you're using your pain to actually channel it into some form of positivity, right? You've still got a life even without that person. And in some ways, if you're adopting their teachings, so then that person still comes along with you. And of course, ask for help. The most important thing is that you are supported through this journey of healing, because you don't know when you specifically need that help. So if you're part of support groups, it makes a massive difference, because you can reach out to those groups as and when you need to. So definitely take the help. I coach millennials on how to build a positive mindset so you can be in that state of joy and success. And having a positive mindset isn't just about being happy all the time, right? A positive mindset means that whatever life throws at you, heartbreaks, heartaches, grief, misery, whatever life throws at you, you just approach the situations in a different manner. You approach it with more emotional resilience and strength. And that's what I love doing, coaching people on their positive mindsets. So my advice to you is that if you are struggling with any of this, please seek professional help through other therapies and other coachings on emotional sort of healing. And then feel free to book a session with me, and we can work through on helping you to build, retain, and elevate a positive mindset, so that when these situations hit you in life, you have a different approach to it. You are more equipped to deal with sort of quote unquote like negativity of life, in that sense, for lack of a better word. So it is my hope that we all heal from things that hit us now and then, and take time out for yourself, okay? Sending lots of love, joy, positive and healing vibes, and know that I am here for you if you need it. All right? Lots of love, my chums. See you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Joy This Moment. I am truly grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in week on week to yours truly. If you feel that this episode has helped you, let's help more people. Please share this episode with anyone you think who could benefit from hearing this week's topic. And it would be wonderful if you could subscribe and drop a review, and take a screenshot of that review, tag me on Instagram at Mev's Moments, and I'd be more than happy to send you my weekly success meditations to give you a power start to your week and to your ongoing week, because you got to listen to them every day for a success and joy mindset. All right, my chums, thank you so much, and I shall catch you in the next one.